हे एवरीवन। सो आज मेरे साथ मेरा एक दोस्त है जो कि गेम डेवलपमेंट में काफ़ी इंटरेस्टेड है और उसमें काफ़ी कुछ कर रहा है। उसका नाम है अमन और ही इज़ फ्रॉम बिट्स गोवा एंड ही इज़ ऑल्सो द हेड ऑफ गेम डेवलपमेंट इन डेवसॉक बिट्स गोवा। सो हाय अमन।
Hello, Rishabh. Absolutely honored to be your first guest in this podcast. So, how are you doing?
आई एम फीलिंग ग्रेट हैविंग यू ऑन बोर्ड एंड एक्चुअली टू बी ऑनेस्ट गाइज, अभी ये जो हम बात कर रहे हैं ये 15 मिनट पहले हम कर चुके हैं। बीच में
Right.
रिकॉर्ड बटन नहीं दबाया था, मेरे को ध्यान आया। तो अभी अभी फिर से रीस्टार्ट हो रहा है। दैट्स व्हाई अमन सेड आई एम एक्सट्रीमली ऑब्लाइज्ड टू बी हियर।
हाँ, ट्रू तो है।
सो तो अमन, व्हाट गॉट यू इनटू
Right.
गेम डेवलपमेंट? क्यों, मतलब ऐसी तुम्हें किक कोई यार ऐसा महसूस हुआ तुम्हें कि हाँ भाई मुझे तो गेम्स ही बनानी है भाई करियर में अब?
Right. So, गेम्स का डेवलपमेंट का इच्छा जो था मेरा शुरुआत से काइंड ऑफ लाइक गेम से ही आया. So, गेम्स में I was playing games from a very young age. So, I was like into Need for Speed. रोड रैश था उस टाइम पे, वो भी बहुत पॉपुलर था ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम. IGI था. तो ये गेम थे कि बहुत यू गेट हुक विद दिस गेम्स, राइट? सो उसके बाद कमिंग बैक टू सिक्स स्टैंडर्ड, मेरा प्रोग्रामिंग का इंटरेस्ट डेवलप विद द हेल्प ऑफ द खान एकेडमी. तो उस टाइम पे जावा सीख रहा था. बट आफ्टर लाइक कमिंग इनटू 11th standard, 12th standard, वो कट ऑफ हो गया. वी आर लाइक प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर जेईई. फिजिक्स, केमिस्ट्री, मैथ्स के अलावा कुछ नहीं करते थे, तो वही करने लग गए थे. देन वी गॉट इनटू द बिट्स पिलानी गोवा कैंपस. तो यहाँ पे आके आई वाज लाइक कि ऐसा क्लब ज्वाइन करना है जो यही चीज को रिवाइव करे मेरे लिए. तो DEVSOC is the only club that felt that I could be here and improve my skills. तो DEVSOC में 4 वर्टिकल्स हैं: ऐप डेव, वेब डेव, गेम डेव एंड यूआई यूएक्स. सो मैंने सोचा वेब डेव, वेब पेजेस बनाएंगे यार. नॉट नॉट द थिंग दैट आई कुड हैव अ किक. मुझे किक नहीं मिल रही उस थिंग से. ऐप डेव, हाँ, मोबाइल फोन्स यूज करता रहता हूँ, एप्स की जरूरत पड़ती रहती है, बट लाइक नो, नॉट माई स्टाइल से. यूआई
फील नहीं आई?
यूएक्स फील नहीं है. आई मीन मैंने उन टेरिटरी को बहुत ज्यादा देखा भी नहीं था, बट स्टिल ऐसा जजमेंट देना बुरा था. बट आई यू गेट काइंड लाइक द
हाँ
आइडिया क्या
मतलब
करने वाले
वो
हैं
जो
ये.
आकर्षण था तुम्हें वो महसूस नहीं हुआ ना, मतलब कि
हाँ,
आई बिलोंग देयर मैन, आई वांट टू गो देयर।
हाँ. फिर
दैट्स
यूआई
कूल।
यूएक्स में आया. तो यूआई यूएक्स में लगा कि ओके, मैं थोड़ा बहुत उन लोगों को बुराई नहीं करूंगा, बट लगा कि यहाँ पे कोडिंग वगैरह कुछ होता भी है या कुछ नहीं. तो आई मीन लाइक, हाँ, एट एट वन एंड की नहीं होता ज्यादा. आई मीन कभी कभार तो चाहिए भी नहीं होता, बट स्टिल you have like the design scenario that UI UX provides, and user experience and UI stuff is very much integral in any sorts of development. हम गेम बनाते वक्त भी हमें UI UX का बहुत सारा ध्यान रखना पड़ता है. तो now comes the game development. So I was like कि हाँ, गेम्स में तो खेलता रहता हूँ, and now I want to know what goes behind the game. So let's check this out. So completely hooked from the very first day. और जो भी like अभी गेम्स बनाने का मेरा लेवल है, it's very much due to the contribution that DevSoc has given to me. तो उसके बाद फर्स्ट जब आए तो यूनिटी ने इंजन के साथ फैमिलाइज किया. सो इंजन्स क्या होते हैं? दीज आर बेसिकली प्लेटफॉर्म्स which helps you to make games. तो ऐसा समझ लो, अगर तुम 3D मॉडलिंग करते हो, so Blender is a platform where you go and create 3D models. And for like normal experience as a like generalized theory, तो मैं बोलूँगा
It's
अगर
a
तुम टेनिस
it's a
खेलने जा रहे
group
हो.
of tools which enables a game developer to make a game.
Right, exactly. So अगर तुम टेनिस खेलने जा रहे हो तो you have like tennis court, everything, the rackets, the balls, the net itself. अगर तुम जिम में जा रहे हो, then you have all the equipments with the gym, right?
Yeah.
Just तुम्हें use करना है उसे. So engines are similarly that you have the tools, you have all the liberty. sometimes there are restrictions in making a game. वो तुम्हें गेम डेवलपमेंट जाके वे में जब डेव करोगे तब पता चल जाएगा. Because also like जब तुम गेम बना रहे हो, then you will also have to focus on like किस प्लेटफॉर्म्स में लॉन्च करना चाह रहे हो.
Yeah, like
अगर तुम VR,
PlayStation, console, app, no Android.
या सो अगर तुम VR के लिए बना रहे हो, VR के स्पेसिफिकेशंस बहुत अलग हैं कंपेयर टू PC, PS4, Nintendo's ये सब. So you have to make sure that these specifications are met, not even overboard, not even underboard, so that these games feel right to play. Okay. So coming back to our discussion that कहाँ कब से आया, so DevSoc की जर्नी में मैंने बहुत कुछ चीजें सीखी थी. मेन वाइल यूनिटी से मैं यूनिटी सीखना शुरू किया. फिर उसके बाद गेम जैम्स आए. So game jams are the places. I think these are the best platforms to increase your game dev skills. Game jams.
Yeah.
So game jams में क्या होता है? These are like short duration of period where you have the time specific to create a complete game itself. और ये ड्यूरेशन और होस्ट के हिसाब से चेंज होता है. सो फॉर लाइक GMT के गेम जैम, व्हिच इज वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट गेम जैम्स, they have 48 hours of timeline compared to Brackeys, which will have 1 week of time, 1 week of duration.
Yes.
And there is also a game jam hosted by GitHub, which
which is in 2 months, I guess.
Which has like a duration of 1 month.
Yeah.
Which has a duration of 1 month. That's name is Game of, I guess. If
are you going to participate in that?
Hopefully I would have the time to participate in it, but I'm not sure that if I would be able to complete that project. But I'll give my best shot.
Yeah, I see. Actually, so I would like to tell my audience what game jams is. We have used this term. Actually, game jam is a competition in which various participants across the globe. But it is specific that if a game jam requires people participating from a particular area, but many developers develop games in a particular given period of time, and best games are shortlisted on the basis of their popularity and are also rated. And some game jams also give rewards to top games. It's a like a competition. जैसे हम आजकल देखते हैं नॉर्मली कंपटीशन होता है. इट्स अ कंपटीशन फॉर गेम डेवलपर्स.
Right.
Yeah. I think you're also involved in some projects, as if you once told. कुछ projects वगैरह पे भी काम कर रहे हो, opportunities वगैरह में भी, I guess. तो उसके बारे में भी थोड़ा बताओ. मतलब कि if a person who is intrigued by games, how should he get these things and how should he approach?
Okay, so ये question को answer करने के लिए we have to look towards a current scenario that we have in our nation itself. Okay. तो इंडिया का वर्किंग कैसा है? So मेरा desire ही है कि मैं game companies में जाऊँ, game industries में घुसूँ, right? And currently my Bitsko campus mein hu, and I know there aren't any companies who have like these kind of like comes to our campus, hires us for
game developing companies games. Don't come to Bitsko too.
No, none of them. Not even one company.
Not even one.
So
I think Microsoft comes.
Microsoft doesn't come in the game companies. Right?
It's like you have to get in as a software developer. And then तुम्हें वहाँ पे बहुत अच्छे से
they all go for software development section, right? So
okay,
game industries में घुसने कैसा है specifically for Indian, and I guess that applies for like any other kinds of developer role, is through network. So network is a very integral part of in getting you opportunity in the game dev industry.
And of course, supplemented by skills.
Obviously, skills is very much important. And I guess this goes for any developers, because skills is a very fundamental thing that would allow you to be involved in a company or involved in an opportunity provided to you, or I would say into the game industry itself. So you work around on a lot of platforms. Game jams is also one of them. If your game is selected as one of the top games in the game jam, then you have already a very set apart position from the rest of the game developers out there,
I
because
see.
you are participating amongst the top game developers, and if you are standing out among them, then it's already a big boom to your career as a game developer. So
Great.
अगर तुमने गेम जैम में पार्टिसिपेट किया है तो and you have standing out from the rest of the competitors out there, then you are already secured a very top place as a game developer. So वो चीज तुम्हारे सेक्शन में बहुत हाईलाइट करेगी when you showcase it in your resume, because I'd say सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट एज अ लाइक हम कॉलेज स्टूडेंट है, राइट? सो अगर हमें जाना है टुवर्ड्स अ सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट कंट्री, सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट कंपनी, देन इट्स डीएससी एवरीथिंग, वेयर यू हैव डेटा स्ट्रक्चर्स एंड एल्गोरिथम्स. सो अगर तुम डीएससी को बहुत अच्छी तरीके से जानते हो, अच्छी तरीके से प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स है तुम्हारी, then you are a very much standout candidate for the company itself when you go for hiring, when you recruit yourself amongst top companies, right?
Yeah.
So when you go for as a game developer, it's not that bad. DSA हाँ थोड़ा बहुत help करेगा, but not, it's completely not DSA that will help you. Majority of your work or majority of your success in getting into that company would be your projects. Game dev looks at your projects a lot. अगर तुमने अच्छे games बनाए हैं, then you have a lot of things that have been focused on. Game design, the audio, the art, the mechanics of the game, these are all very much covered by the projects itself. That's why projects are very important in the game dev market. Then the network comes in. So if you have a very good network amongst your peers or amongst the companies that you want to work in, then you have a very solid chance to get yourself placed in those companies. So then you have to check that these networks is much more expanded during your time as a game developer, because the better your network is, the more chances you have. That's just proportionate to itself. Okay. So these are the things that we have to work on for like
A
getting
person
into the
has
game dev.
to focus on projects as a whole, because that's going to demonstrate a lot about the person's skill sets which he might have gained, and also his consistency would also be shown with these projects, that yes, he can get things done.
Right. Because it's not just one project that will make him set apart. There'll be a lot of projects that would make him show that he's very much consistent in making hits.
I see. But actually, to be honest, I think in India, parents are very much traditionalist when we talk about games. Like मैं गेम खेलता था बचपन में, तो इट वाज लाइक असैसिन्स क्रीड 3 गेम खेलता था मैं, तो 1 घंटे से ज़्यादा एक दिन में नहीं खेल सकता था, और बहुत और रेस्ट्रिक्शंस होते थे. अगर 1 घंटे से ज़्यादा खेलना होता था तो अगले दिन का स्किप करना पड़ता था. तो और पेरेंट्स को ऐसा लगता था कि जो बच्चे गेम्स खेलते हैं उनसे उनका टाइम वेस्ट हो रहा है. बट व्हाट डू यू थिंक, मतलब इज दिस ट्रेंड चेंजिंग? मतलब कुछ चेंज हो रहा है इसमें? मतलब आजकल मैं ऐसे गेम्स देख रहा हूँ जिनको देखकर हम बहुत सारी और चीजें भी सीखते हैं, लाइक टीम स्पिरिट, या फिर वी फील प्राउड अबाउट आवर कल्चर. लाइक व्हेन, like consider this series like Assassin's Creed, they are showcasing how the liberty movement might have gone through, or how they fought the operations, and how through these game sets and the stories which they lay, they are able to infuriate the nationalistic sentiments in Americans.
Right. So yeah, that's a very good question. So the thing is that games are like, I would say, if a person wants to very much interested in going into the gaming section, so let's just say that gaming and game development are two different worlds. Okay. If a person is just playing games, then it's a he's in gaming section. So that being said, I would say gaming is not a very bad thing. It's not a big deal at all. So what happens is that our country is very much focused on academics. We just have to improvise in our acads itself. I say you can just say right now that gaming is very much scrutinized by our community. But say majority of the time, a person who is interested in sports would also be kind of like scrutinized than the person who is focusing on academics, right?
Yeah,
So if a person is going into sports section, he would be like, parents would be like, खेलना बंद करो, घर आ जाओ, पढ़ाई करो, right? That's true even. So, but
that's
let's just see.
that's true.
Compared to before, I guess nowadays people are much more modernized and say that if my kid is spending too much of time in sports, then let's give him the chance to go into the sports career, right? Compared
Esports.
to sports,
Oh,
just
sports.
sports.
You're talking
For
about
now,
sports. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
for now, just sports. So I guess I'll come if with some time. I think the gaming section would also be popularized, and I guess would be scrutinized much less compared to the times before we had. It's just a process that the mentality just has to develop because gaming is just not bad. There are professionals who play games as a passion, as a living even. So talk about like the esports player who are like into competitive sports for let's say Call of Duty, Valorant, League of Legends. These are the games that people have a lot of demand. Even I'm very much interested into League of Legends right now. So there are like World Cups for those games as well.
Yeah.
So
They have
you
such a
can
fan following.
imagine,
The stadiums have more people than those who are present in cricket stadiums.
yeah. So there are times that the community, the audiences that they have surpasses the ones that there are in sports even. And especially during this COVID area when the sports was almost completely null, esports almost took over. So esports was kind of like trending a lot before itself, but during this COVID time, it was in a very steep curve. So the gaming section is kind of having a very much in a very booming section right now because it's very much getting a lot of revenue generation and also games are like very much and this is also like how the game developers can look at, right? Because game developers are making good games, then the community who plays the game would be very much interested in watching those particular professionals play the game, right?
Yeah.
So if I say Valorant wasn't as good as it is now. Let's say it's a very scrutinized game by our community.
Okay.
Then people won't like to watch Valorant esports,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
the VCT tournaments that they have right now. If the Valorant as it is in state right now, it's very much overcoming the barriers of Counter-Strike Global Offensive have. Counter-Strike
Okay.
Global Offensive is not very much balanced game, I would say. I might have a lot of haters after this who plays
You might have
Call of Duty.
definitely.
Yeah, who plays Counter Strike. But and some might say I'm very biased towards Valorant, but yeah, I think it's very much Valorant does something that is not done by Counter Strike, and that is the potential to play make. Valorant is much more interactive and competitive than I feel Counter Strike ever was. So yeah, a lot of hates after this, but
I hope
I'll
you
take
don't
it.
have a social media presence of that sorts, which might get you
Yeah,
targeted.
yeah. I think that won't be happening, but let's just say, okay, guys, no hates for like Call of Duty.
Actually,
Sorry,
to be
Counter
honest,
Strike.
my first esport which I watched was when I went for an inter-school competition for Scratch game development. Are you aware of software Scratch, block coding and game
No,
development? Actually,
no,
Scratch
I'm not.
was a software which was taught to us in our childhood, in which we used to make games using blocks. The concept of block coding. So when we went there, there was a esports event which was happening for Counter Strike thing. So that was really awesome, man. It was my first experience when I saw people playing games, and having seen those terrorists getting their heads busted at the nook of a building by the officers, that was really cool. People were shouting on the top of their voices. Like, that's awesome.
Right.
I won't
Right.
hate you for
It's
this,
almost as
but okay, that
yeah.
goes.
It's like a football player scores a goal. It's almost as similar as a person clutching a game out. So he's like 1v3 in the team. Then it's like almost as good as a soccer player scoring a goal. So you can just compare that esports is not very much different than the sports itself. It's
Yeah.
just the things that are in the computer itself, in a console maybe. So these are the basic things that makes it good even and convenient as well, because a person can just play from their homes and don't have to work around much as well.
Actually, I was thinking that these things, the points which you mentioned, that last one, inactivity of the physical body. I thought, if even if we leave that aside, if a person is having that physical activities in his routine, and also along with that he's having these games, uh, I think what you meant is that the games are going to give some more add on some perception. Like we will be able to do things which we can't do in real life. Like we won't
Yeah,
get a terrorist to shoot, or we won't get on the edge of a cliff and stand and jump in a haystack of dry leaves.
yeah. So by that, I actually meant after doing the physical activity. So I say you work around a lot of stuff during your college time or during
Hmm.
your office hours. Then you're mentally, physically exhausted, to be honest, after
Yeah.
a very long day. Then you just hop into your computer and then
Yeah,
play your games and
in that sense that's really cool,
have
but
fun.
I think physical inactivity, I think our audience should also
Yeah, that's a
consider this.
completely different.
You should don't do this, that you are just ignoring your body. You should work out, but games are also a part of life. You just can't be saying that I hate games because they are bad. They are also good. They also teach us things and also entertaining too. So if you have an urge to play a game, then you should play a game.
Right.
So
And you can very much explore a lot of genres in the game. If a particular genre doesn't fit your style, and it doesn't mean that games are not your type. I think the right type of a game, you haven't played your particular right type of game, then you just have to search that
other
particular game out.
genres,
Sometimes,
you just,
yeah,
yeah, so you basically, you just don't have to say games are bad because you were into a 3D third person shooter, and what you end up playing was a puzzle game like Candy Crush. So of course you won't be liking that if you are a third person type guy.
right. And sometimes, but this is something extra that I would like to talk about. Sometimes there is called your soul game, but we term it, but we most of my friends term it as our soul game. So what we mean by soul
you
game
were
is
you
the
were your soul game.
yeah.
Soul
So
game, okay.
what do I what do I mean by soul game is the particular game that keeps you hooked for like anytime. You open up your PC, and if you don't feel like playing any games, you just open up that particular game and you just feel like this is the particular game that I could repeat on and on and on.
Is
That
that
is
GTA
the
5 for you? Is that GTA 5?
It's absolutely not. It's Witcher 3 for me.
Okay, that's nice. To be honest, for me it's GTA 5. I like to kill NPCs.
Right. Cool, cool. So it's a particular game that Witcher 3 has for me is that whenever I'm like bored with those modern games that are coming up, sometimes I say there are like games which are just coming up and just having an impact on the market. For instance, like Saints Row reboot, which was completely flop game. It's hated by community. It's hated by the analysis, and the criticizers as well. So by that I mean like Rotten Tomatoes, IGN, Game Ranks. These are the people who are like very much scrutinizing this uh, Saints Row reboot game. Why? Buggy, first of all, as of like no kind of like chronology as well. with that particular Saints Row first game, and no kinds of like the impact that it has that the Saints Row first version had. Because Saints Row is known for its like completely bamboozle over the top mechanics. Because it's the game that you just come in, hack and slash, kill the NPCs, do nothing over the top action moves, and it's one particular genre that people sort of likes. Don't want to be very much involved in a serious gameplay, just want to come and kill everything. That's a particular game that you want to look for. Then, but Saints Row Reboot still doesn't make that feel good either. So it's a thing that the modern games are having right now. They're not having the same impact that some of the games have been there in the library, I would
Like,
say, or in the
I would like
source.
to tell you one story of a game, Max Payne 2. The Max Payne 2 was a good game. Have you played it?
Yeah, yeah. Max Payne
So
is a very famous series.
you might have noticed that they didn't give cutscenes. It was like a comic strip which was projected to us, and we had to read that.
Yep.
I read,
I think that's a very brilliant intake from them.
yeah, those people said that they did it intentionally because they wanted their players to participate more actively. Like they wanted them to live the story as a whole. They didn't want them to sit back when the cutscene comes or either press E to skip it. They wanted the audience to read it and get themselves involved in it and get attached to it. That was the reason they removed the 3D cutscenes and adapted that comic strip style. So that was cool stuff.
Yep. So they can approach in a very different way as well, game developers. I talked with you before about the Elden Ring as well, right?
Yeah, Elden
It
Ring.
kind of like goes out of the normal trends that a game has.
Yeah,
So Elden Ring doesn't tell you what to do next, which is a completely like risky move,
like
I
it's
would
like
say.
a newborn baby
Yeah.
in a virtual world.
Yeah. So it doesn't tell you anything what to do next. If the particular boss or boss fight is on your level or is above your level, even below your level, it won't tell you. So it's like going into a world which is completely hostile for you. You can be thrown away from a cliff without from a enemy coming from behind or a dragon even spawning out of nowhere. So you're completely in a hostile area, and it's kind of like and I guess it was a risky move and it was a very bold move, but it paid off really well. I would say this is kind of like the experience I think that the players should be given in this game trends that we are having right now. Because I'd say we are just spoon fed by the game developers right now in the modern games, where we are told what we have to do next, what these levels are for you, like level based system that I talked with you before, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 based games. So a particular mission is level 40 and your character is level 27 or something. Then you just know that this level is not for me. I have to go
Because there
towards
is no way
my
you
level.
can win.
Yeah. Or it's almost like practically impossible to win, but theoretically winnable still.
Yeah, I
So
get that. It would force a person to superimpose keyboard keys one over another.
kind
Practically
of like that.
impossible. I
Yeah.
see.
So it's like also spoon feeding you that this thing should be played before this. But what Elden Ring does is no, we aren't telling you what to do next. Completely up to you. Run down the hill, climb up the hill, do whatever you want to do. Get smacked by an enemy, sure. So Elden Ring, what it does is not telling you anything at all about the game. It even doesn't explain you pretty well what the plot is. You have to figure it out with the items that you might be uh, figuring out uh, during your movement in the world. So yeah, that's it for the Elden Ring thing. Because it's something that strikes out from the rest of the games that are out there in 2022 games.
Yeah.
Well, like
Actually, to be
the
honest, I was quite allured with the concept of this game. To be honest, I haven't
right.
played it personally. Have you bought this game or you just pirated it? We should
Okay,
not
so
talk about
let's
this
talk
on the
about
podcast.
obviously.
I'm sorry. Of course, you bought it.
Yes.
I also buy games. Anyways,
Right.
so Aman, what do you think? Will India be able to make a AAA game like Assassin's Creed series or Grand Theft Auto series someday?
Right. So these are like games that are very much organized by very high gaming industries, and they have a lot of people, a lot of talented employees to work on that game. So for this question, like if you are saying that an Indian company, right, from developed by Indian game developers, then I'd say it's a pretty long time to come that we would have an impact like that, sort of like the Assassin's Creed GTA has in the gaming industry. So why would I say that? It's because I think the culture is one of the biggest factor that we have, because the game development culture isn't very much in a big state in India like software developer has, or a web developer even has. And you would see that even when you go for like LinkedIn profiles, and you would hardly find any game developers out there in your
Hardly.
profiles.
I have to
So
type it.
yeah, they have the specific type for it. And also like going for internships, job opportunities, you would hardly find some game developers, good game development companies out there. So I think it's a pretty long time we have to have a game from India to have an impact like an Assassin's Creed game or a GTA game or a Mafia game or a Valorant kind of like game that we could have. So that being said, is it impossible? I don't think so. At one particular point of time, I feel that we'd be capable enough to have a game that would have this sort of impact. But I think we kind of like need to have that ecosystem where we are very much promoted this game development culture. Now, compared to places like Montreal in Canada, uh, the game development companies out there are very much promoted, very highly promoted by the ecosystem out there. So what happens is that the culture, the workers are also very much promoted by the government itself, by the authorities. So that being said, it's not that if you don't make a good game, you would still be having a kind of like a okay sort. It's just that it's much easier than compared to the things that we have with our ecosystem right now. So I'd say if we have to promote this culture, then we have to start from ground up, figure things out, liberate some of the policies out there, embrace the culture even. And I guess right now the position between we have at India is kind of like a very gloomy state. Yeah, surely the games are coming out in the Indian market. There are much more game companies that we have in India compared to the past. So
I think by the
kind of
end
like
of
the
December this year, we are going to have a game, Mumbai Gullies. I think you might have seen its teaser.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
How was it
So
according
I
to you?
think the game seems to have a potential. Let's see if it lives up to its hype, because there are
I'm
a lot
also
of
expecting a
other
lot from
games.
this. It,
Yeah,
it
there
won
are a lot of
Unreal
other.
Engine grant.
Okay, that's cool. So there are a lot of other games out there who has a lot of hype but doesn't live up to its expectation at all. So I think it's best right now to have a steady goal, like steady
A
expectations to
perfect
have with them.
example for the situation which you state, I guess, would be 4G.
I haven't heard about Watch.
See, when PUBG got banned, the first game which got up into the news was 4G. They were like saying that
Okay,
it's going to be an Indian replacement of Battlegrounds. But when people
Okay.
downloaded the game, it was not a replacement for Battlegrounds at all. I'm sorry to say that, but it was a try. It would have been a really good thing if a team of small people would have made it. Even Akshay Kumar stepped down and promoted this game to be the face of the Indian gaming industry. So that was a little disappointing, and that also fits in the example which you stated.
Yeah. So we just have to keep our patience right now, see how it progresses for the Indian gaming industry. And let's just hope for the best, because at this progress, we are very much far away to see a game having an impact like the Assassin's Creed or the GTA has in the gaming industry.
But there is always a hope, and
Always a
also the CEO of Lakshya Digital Studios and D3T head of engineering of DT3 said that they have signed a MOU with the Indian government. They are going to promote education of game engineering in our universities, and they want these things to be an integral part of our culture and also here. And also, people should be talking about it as a different career aspect, like it should
right,
not be like a person is going on as a lone wolf on a road of game development. They are going
right,
to spread awareness in these things. And also they told how potential Indian market is. I think we are one of the biggest market for these games. If we have players to play games, definitely if we
right,
go by probability, we are gonna have good and also enormous numbers of game developers too in this country.
right.
So government is taking steps. I hope these steps are successful and we get to see some good emerging studios in our country too, making cool games
Right.
and hiring new talent.
Right. Very true. If we are even like close enough towards a potential new Ubisoft studio or like the Rockstar industry, then it's a very big boom to the Indian gaming culture as well.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess that's it for this session. So
Right.
we really enjoyed a lot, and I'm definitely gonna have you in other sessions too because you have that aura of games. I think it's gonna be
Right.
difficult for me to find many other people like this, but I hope we get together along for another session.
Sure, sure.
So I think that should be it for this session of Game Development Insightful Talks podcast. So would you like to add some important things which you think definitely should be known to our audience who are interested to get into this kicking field of game development?
Right. So as you can see that this developer's role that we have as a game developer, if you go out there and ask people why game dev, then most of them would say passion. So if gaming is a passion and development as well, then game developer is one of the things that would be very much interested to work in. Also, like that being said, हाँ थोड़ा बहुत like culture वैसा नहीं है हमारे nation में, तो that doesn't should hinder you in performing a great deal in game development as well. Just look at yourself as me that I want to be a game developer and I want to be really, really good at it. Doesn't matter if anyone others, if any other people is like putting me down or like restricting me from becoming a great developer. It shouldn't be that thing. Because after all, this is a developers that after this development is much more passion related. So that passion should keep burning until you are very much satisfied with it. Right now, I have like a lot of passion with this section, and that's why I love creating games. I love looking at the games out there in the market, analyze them if there is something wrong with it, if there's something that should could be improved. Because when you play games as a game developer, you would see that हाँ यहाँ पे थोड़ा बहुत चेंजेस कर सकते थे, यहाँ पे शायद जंपिंग थोड़ा सा इम्प्रूव हो सकता था, मूवमेंट थोड़ा स्मूथ हो सकता था. सो गेम डेवलपर एक नया काइंड ऑफ लाइक तुम्हें विजन पर्सपेक्टिव दिखाएगा तुम when you play a game. So things would look a bit different as a gamer when you become a game developer. So that being said, I hope if anyone is interested in game development, best of luck to you, all of you. It's a very passionate driven development area. So keep that passion burning.
Thank you, man. Thank you for such a beautiful closing statement. I think, guys, that's it for today. I hope we get Aman on board for next couple of podcasts too. And I hope this podcast was useful for you if you are interested in game development. Thank you.